Hey everybody, Jake here from Bearded Gear, and I'm ready to do my first impressions on the knife that is actually in my pocket today. This knife I picked up yesterday, and it hasn't left my pocket since. It's now been 26 hours, so it's fair game for me to do my first impressions. And because I didn't get shipped this knife, I couldn't do an unboxing, so I figured it'd be fun to jump right in with the first impressions. This is the CKF Evolution 2.0. It is a knife that was designed by Rotten Design, and it is basically a scaled down, smaller, had some differences, but in essence, a smaller version of the CKF Evolution 1.0, which is based on the custom Evolution by Rotten Design. So, this is an interesting story. I'm going to hold the knife up while I tell it so people can't be as mad. This knife was available for pre-order a few months ago, and I almost got one. I talked to a few people about it as they were available for pre-order. The pre-order was open for a little bit, and I was really, really close to pulling the trigger. I genuinely almost got one, but I'm not huge on pre-orders a lot of the time because I don't like tying up, especially a knife like this. I think these pre-order price were like $590. This configuration might have been, it was right around there. I don't like tying up $600 for a couple of months when I could be using that knife budget to be buying things here and now, right? So I ended up passing on it, and I kind of regretted it after it became too late. And then some of these dropped when all the pre-orders were shipped, and there were some extra that Rotten Design had, or that CKF had, I don't know. And I was going to get one of those, but then I literally slept in that day because I'd been up way too late editing the night before. So I missed the drop. It would have been tough to get one anyways, even if I was right there at the right time. But I missed it twice, right? Luckily, I had a buddy who literally, a kid that I knew in high school, we were in the same graduating class. I have found out over the last couple of years, as I've gotten deeper into the knife hobby, that he's also a knife nut, and he owns a lot of really crazy, really, really nice knives, nicer knives than I do. He had pre-ordered this and got it, and just decided that it wasn't really for him, wasn't his speed, or I think he liked it even. He just didn't see himself carrying and using it. I think part of that is because of some of the ridiculous customs he's been getting lately. He's kind of outclassed this, which is crazy because this is pretty pinnacle for me at the moment. But yeah, so he reached out to me, shot me a DM, was like, hey dude, I got one of these on pre-order, sent me a couple of pics of it, and he was like, if you want it, before I list it somewhere else, it's yours. And I was like, done, what's your PayPal? And he lives in my hometown, which isn't that far away, so literally that night, PayPal'd him the money. Next morning, I was in the car and on my way over there. So I went and picked this up yesterday, and I have been excitedly carrying it and playing with it ever since. So that's how I came into possession of this knife. But yeah, so this is, like I said, a Rotten Design collaboration with CKF, aka Custom Knife Factory, and it is pretty ridiculously awesome. The Evolution 1.0 is much bigger and has finger grooves, and that's kind of the main differences that I've noticed just seeing them in pictures. I've never handled the 1.0, but this obviously I have. I'm holding it right now. So for me, this was the version that I was actually more interested in. Kyle, DTOM Knives and Gear, just purchased on the secondary a 1.0, and it's been his grail for a long time. He's been wanting one super, super bad, and he loves it. And that makes sense to me because his hands are much bigger than mine, and he likes much bigger knives than I do. This feels like a properly big knife to me. This is a large knife. It is not insanely huge. I've handled bigger, I've carried bigger, but this is upper end of what I'll actually reasonably carry as a primary, and so I'm stoked about the size on this one. This is absolutely still a full-size knife. It is not little just because it's the smaller version. The other one is just huge, I'm gathering. So really, really cool knife. I've also been on a little bit of a CKF kick lately between the Satori 2.0, which I now have, and then I've got a loaner of their Gavco collab. I've got the loaner of the 523, and I've just been checking out a lot of their knives recently, and I've been liking them. I've been really enjoying the knives that they make. So this came at a good time, and I'm stoked that I was able to get one because typically the secondary prices are pretty wild, but because I got a homie deal on one, I kind of avoided that, which is really, really nice. So let's talk about my first impressions of this knife and kind of where I'm at with it coming into it. I will do a full review once I've had it over a week, once I've carried it a lot, used it a good bit, and kind of felt it out some more. But so far, I'm really, really impressed. The first thing that impresses me is just the fit and finish. The quality on this grind, if you look at this belt satin on the hollow grind, is gorgeous, really, really well finished. And then you get this cool, it's kind of like a stone wash, but it's actually more like a bark pattern, if you will. I don't know if you'll be able to see or if it'll pick up, but it carries the same line pattern that you get on the scales and kind of the same finish too. So it's almost like the same exact finish that you get on the scales just continues up through the blade when it's open. It's really, really nice. I realize I probably shouldn't be waving my hand like that. Anyways, it carries it straight through, which is really, really cool. I think it looks great. And yeah, the belt satin is gorgeous. I really like belt satin, especially lately. I'm kind of just digging it on a number of knives. So I like the way that it's done here. The finishing on the scales too, the way that this kind of bark texture is done on the titanium. I'm not usually a huge fan of textured titanium. I guess I'm very selective about it. This looks great to me though. I like it a lot. It's just a really cool texture, and it's got a slightly, maybe a little bit bronzish tone, but I don't know. It's hard for me to tell if it's anodized at all. If there's any bronze in it, it's very, very subtle. It just kind of seems like plain tie to me. And I think this one is marketed as the plain tie. So maybe I'm just crazy. My eyes are playing tricks on me. But I love the finishing on the scales. Same finish on the pocket clip as the scales themselves. Internally, there's a bunch of weight reduction. Huge pockets milled out inside, both on lock side and show side. So that's really cool. It does have a hardened steel insert with an over travel stop. And yeah, the construction on this knife is really good, and it's nice. So let's talk about the action, and then we'll go ergos and cutting. But the action on this knife is really, really good. It's not quite like the 523 in terms of how drop shutty it is, but it's real close. This is, it is drop shutty. It shuts all the way, just with gravity, every time. Remarkably smooth, sounds really cool. Listen to this. It just has these awesome kind of acoustics to it, and it's so much fun to play with. What can be a little scary, I know a lot of people, when they go to close a drop shutty knife, see, I like to do this thing where I press it with my finger back here. Come on, sorry. I press it back here on the spine of the knife to where I know that I've cleared the detent. Then I move my thumb out of the way, and then I let it drop. Some people like to play this game where they try to see if they can cut off their finger by not pressing down on it. And it's scary because when you get past that detent ramp, if your thumb is still there, you got to pull it out real quick before it comes to get you. And on this knife in particular, if you look at what part is coming for you, it's not just sharpened edge, but there's a point there because it's in the choil. So I don't do that. I literally, out of habit, just kind of press to here with my pointer finger on the spine of the knife. Sorry, I keep holding it way off to the side. Pointer finger on the spine of the knife, I push it to here, and then I drop it. For me, that works great because I don't want to lose the tip of my thumb. But yeah, the action is addicting, to say the least. I have played with this knife constantly since I opened it up yesterday. Yeah, I really, really love it. So let's talk ergos for a second too. I have one gripe ergonomically on this knife so far, and it's probably going to be really easy to guess. It is the jimping right up here. This jimping is annoyingly rough. I don't like jimping like that ever. I just, really aggressive, deep jimping is a bother to me. It doesn't feel comfortable. It feels uncomfortable. This knife has phenomenal ergonomics otherwise. This forward finger choil, the kind of secondary groove here, the rest of the grooves on the handle, it fits my hand so well in this forward choil, and I feel super controlled over it. I have no need for finger serrations up here. I just don't. So that kind of bugs me a little bit, but that's one of the only things on the entire knife that bugs me so far, and I can easily get over it because so many knives have it. It's just one of those things that sometimes I have to accept that they're the reality, you know. So yeah, ergonomically, other than that jimping, it is just beautifully good. Even if I'm not in the forward choil, these ergos are still really good for me. Very comfortable knife to hold on to, and that works quite well. So saber grip, hammer grip, in the choil, out of the choil, all comfortable. Reverse grip on this guy, very comfortable. It's got one of my hallmark favorite things in a reverse grip, a good like kind of thumb ramp back here for me to hold on to. Feels really good in a reverse grip. And reverse grip draw cut, it's okay. It's not bad actually. Forward grip draw cut totally works. So a lot of grips on here that all work well. One thing that I've heard thrown out by quite a few people, and that I can see and understand why, especially now that I'm holding this knife. A lot of people have said this is reminiscent of a Strider. And yeah, like looking at it, I absolutely get that. And in hand, I get it too. These ergos feel to me kind of like a Strider, but maybe a little bit better, which is crazy because I really like Strider ergos. Still has the jimping up here, which is a bummer, but it feels very reminiscent of like an SNG. And this, I've said to a couple people as well now, as I've been trying to describe this knife, kind of feels like the ultimate SNG to me. Because it's on bearings with a phenomenal action. It flicks super well. It's way more fun to fidget with. It feels to me every bit as robust and capable as any Strider that I've ever felt. Its build quality is fantastic. It's well put together. This feels like a beast of a knife. And yet it feels way more refined. Centering is perfect. The fit and finish is phenomenal. Everything about it feels so much more dialed in than any Strider I've ever felt. So I kind of like that it feels like a Strider, and I get so much of what I want out of Striders that I just can't seem to get out of them. And this blade, by the way, freaking balls. It is so thin behind the edge. The way that this hollow grind is done, it is remarkable how thin this is down here. It's just, it shocked me a little bit how thin it's actually taken, because it's just such a nice tall hollow grind, and it's done really, really well. The tip is super kind of still pokey stabby, which you sometimes don't get on, like, I guess you'd call this a Wharncliffe or a reverse Tanto or something, but it's a super usable tip. You've got gradual belly that holds kind of the same curve the whole way along. It is a stunner of a blade, and have I cut anything with it? I think I opened a box last night. Yeah, I opened a box, and then my daughter had like a packaged toy that needed to come out of like some plastic wrap, so I cut a little plastic wrap. I've done very light cutting with it so far, but I'm looking forward to doing more because this blade excites me. It's very, very cool. So yeah, right out of the pouch, if you will. I did grab the pouch because I didn't unbox it. It comes in a normal CKF pouch. This is the way it was handed to me. It's inside of here. It's got the CKF kind of red rag. We've got a baggie full of goodies. You've got replacement bearings, pivot, all full set of hardware, washers, lock bar insert, all of that in there. And it's funny, on some of them they include a clip. On this one they don't appear to have, but it's got all the hardware to swap. And then there's some stickers and a card. Let's see. Yeah, the card says this one is numbered, number 76, designer John Sorensen of Rotten. Yeah, nice ownership card. Anyways, there's all this stuff in the pouch. It comes with all the typical CKF stuff, which is more than most knife companies send you. And I don't know if that's because they're in Russia and they don't want to deal with like having somebody reach out for a stupid small part for a warranty claim, when they can just, it's cheaper for them to just bake it in and send it with the knife, or less of a headache or something. But I'm glad they do, because I like having extra parts for my knife when I get it. That's just great in case I ever need to do anything to it. So yeah, this thing is a beast. It is a tank. It's really cool. I like it a lot. And I'm super excited that I got the chance to own one, and that I didn't have to pay twice as much as they went for on the pre-order to get one. So thank you to my buddy. I'll link his Instagram down below. He's a cool dude, and he posts some knife related stuff. Really nice guy. And yeah, just hope he keeps reaching out to me before other people when he has stuff like this. So don't become too good of friends with him. I want him to be my secret. But yeah, this is a really, really nice knife. CKF has been crushing it lately on all the knives that I've handled of theirs. And this might be my favorite CKF. I've only had it a day, so it would be unfair to declare it a favorite because some of that might just be how excited I am about it right now. But I'm pretty sure this is going to end up being my favorite CKF that I've experienced yet. So there you have it. This is the CKF Evo or Evolution 2.0. It's a rotten design knife, and I'll talk about it a lot more in my full review. I'm sure I'll have a lot more to say about it. But that's kind of my first impressions, and there you have it. So thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you on the next one.